So I've got a Patreon. Shameless plug, link in the description. One of the perks for my top tier members, aka bad motherfuckers, is that they get to pick one movie each month that I have to review. And this month, my top tier member, Greg C, requested that I review this movie. So here you go, Greg. Let's look at some fucked up body horror. What the fuck you got me watching? Martyrs is brought to us by director Pascal Lajour and stars Moriana Aloui and Maylin Chapoui. So Martyrs is a 2008 French film that is notoriously known for its brutality, violence, and torture scenes. And in that respect, this movie doesn't disappoint. This shit is fucking brutal. Our two leads are Anna and Lucy, and they have been friends since childhood when they lived in an orphanage. Now, Lucy has some issues, but these issues are at least somewhat understandable because she was held captive when she was younger in a room, chained up in a chair with a hole cut out in the bottom, and just relentlessly beaten, like her head was shaved and she was like shoveled food. She was pretty much tortured during her childhood. She was never raped though. They throw that in there like, hey, that's a positive, which I mean, yeah, I guess it's a positive she was never raped, but believe me, all the other shit that happened to her, it's all pretty fucked up, especially for a kid. She is able to escape eventually though, however, her captors are never caught. Now, 15 years later, as adults, Anna and Lucy are looking for the people that held Lucy captive. She believes that she's found them, and that is where I'm going to leave it off, because I don't want to ruin what happens next. Just know that shit gets really violent, really brutal, and just pretty fucked up all around. I really enjoyed this story mainly because I never ever knew what was going to happen next. Where this movie goes from the beginning, I would have just never guessed anything like that. In fact, about halfway through the movie, it seems like the movie is about to end. You're thinking to yourself, where else could this go? There's nothing else to happen. And then something happens and you're like, what? Holy shit, where are we now? This movie's got some twists and turns like a mofo, and it goes some places that just kind of left me in awe. The story ends up being something much more than you're initially led to think it is, and I really enjoyed that. It made the entire experience really fresh. Everything that happened on screen was just something new. Sure, there is like torture porn at times, and we've seen that before, but I will say that when it comes to those scenes in this movie, there's a reason that they're happening. It's not just happening because you have sadistic, crazy people doing sadistic, crazy things. I mean, they're definitely sadistic, but there is a reason that it's happening. You don't really know what those reasons are until later on, but that is something else the movie did that I really appreciated. It didn't just leave it totally open. I felt like while watching this movie, the end of this movie is going to be very open-ended. And in some ways it is, but it really answered a lot more questions than I ever expected it to. Now in that ending, some people are going to have issues with it. Like I said, the movie goes places, but once you get there, while you do get answers, there is one answer that everybody in the movie and you, the viewer, are looking for, and you don't concretely get that. That is left a little bit up in the air. However, in my opinion, that was okay because that did go along with the theme of the movie, or at least the second half of the movie, and what the movie was trying to say. Not knowing this thing specifically in the end of the movie was kind of supposed to be a thing. Something else they did wonderful here with the story was the tension. It is through the fucking roof. Like, so much so that I think some people will have a really hard time actually watching this movie all the way through. There are scenes where we have characters walking through rooms with flashlights and you see just enough, and you really just want them to stop, turn around, and fucking leave. You do not want them to continue going. You do not want to see what's at the end of that dark hallway. I mean, there is a part of you, that curiosity side, that does, but holy fuck, your nerves absolutely don't want you to. I can't tell you how many times I kept thinking, no, don't go there. No, don't go down there. No, just don't fucking do that. My muscles felt kind of like a ball of tension for a great deal of the runtime of this film. And that is definitely not gonna be for everybody, but that is absolutely what they were going for here, and they 100% succeeded. It's a hard watch at times, but if you get the stomach for it, it is a very entertaining and satisfying movie. Our characters in the movie are one of the big things that do make this work. I know, shocker. In movies like this, many times the characters will just end up being shallow cannon fodder, but not here. You really do care for these characters. And they needed you to, because when these fucked up things start to happen, if you didn't give a shit about the people that they're happening to, you wouldn't really care. It'd just be torture porn for torture porn's sake. The fact that we do care about these characters is what really makes this thing such a tense, unnerving, hard watch. And one of the big contributors to us caring about these characters is the great performances we got from our leads. Our two main characters, Anna and Lucy, are in an almost constant state of just fear and terror. And that had to be really exhausting for these actresses, but they did a fantastic job here. When they're scared on screen, which is most of the fucking time, you totally believe it. They look fucking terrified. Everybody else in the film did a great job too, but these two are the ones who are with the most, so the vast majority of it is on their backs, and they do not fail us. Now, what the movie is really known for is its violence, brutality, and gore, which is actually kind of odd because there actually is some substance to this story, but I do get it because the violence, brutality, and gore here is pretty hardcore. I think it's really the brutality of it all and the visceral nature of everything in this movie. It is just fucking brutal, and that really just hammers it all home. And that's gonna be kind of exhausting for some people. It is violent and brutal from beginning all the way to the end pretty much. Now there is meaning to it all, but like I said, it's pretty exhausting just watching these people go through these horrible situations for about an hour and 45 minutes. Now, exhausting or not, the effects here look fantastic. Really gross and really brutal, but they do look great. The things we see done to a human body in this movie just look real. I mean, they are pretty disgusting. It's that realism and that brutality again that just make it all that much more believable. Now, if you hadn't already guessed, this is not a movie for the squeamish, but as I said earlier about the story, if you've got the stomach for it, there is some really great effects to be had here. Guys, Martyrs is a really tough watch, but on the flip side of that, it's a really interesting movie. It's got some great performances that are attached to some really interesting characters, and that story, while as fucked up as it is still really interesting, and it asks some really intriguing questions. The end of the movie is not gonna sit well with everybody, and the violence and brutality is going to be a tough sell for many. But if you're game, you're in for a story that's just gonna take you places you never thought you would go, and overall is just a really intriguing experience. And what it also is absolutely worth a buy.
Do it! Do it!
Show me the money!
Do it!
You motherfucker!
So,
Show me the money!
do it!
Now, while I found this movie really intriguing, and I did say it is worth a buy, if all those things I said a minute ago aren't your bag, if you get grossed out easy, if you have some like issues with being uncomfortable with really tense scenes, just stay away from this movie because you're not going to like this. This will be a bad experience for you. If you're a part of the other crowd though, and this sounds like your kind of thing, then check out Martyrs one night and you're in for an extremely intriguing and interesting ride. So there it is, guys, my review of Martyrs. If you enjoyed and want more content like this, hit that subscribe button and help my little channel grow. If you want to help out the channel, check out my Patreon in the description below. Become a jarhead and get some of the awesome benefits that go along with that, like these guys. And possibly join my top tier and become a bad motherfucker like my man Greg and get the opportunity once a month, as he did today, to request of me to review whatever the hell movie you want. If you liked what I had to say, give me a like. If not, let me know in the comments below why. And as always, stay sexy, niece. So this is the second movie within a week that I've reviewed from France that was like hardcore, brutal, and violent and had like crazy body horror going on. Last week it was Titan, this week it's this. I mean, what the fuck is going on over in France? I mean, the last French movie I remember reviewing prior to this would be Cuties, which that one was fucked up in its own right. So really, France, what the fuck's going on over there? What the hell you guys got going on in the water? Something, because you some twisted motherfuckers, and I kinda like it. Except for Cuties, that shit was just fucked up all around.